think these shows are too long.
Welcome to Fix It
You gotta do a half hour, man.
and Flip It.
Quick.
The current real estate
We
market
don't have to
is
stay
ripe
the
for
whole time.
rehabbing.
I'm just
if
saying.
you want to learn how to buy the right
gotta
property
guess it's
at
one
the
thing,
right
but-
price and learn how to project
Well, these
and
questions are
control
really important.
costs,
People really
then
like
you've
them.
come to the right place. Our host, Tony Raffin, is from the #1 Remax team in southeastern Michigan. And Kevin McClellan is Mr. Flipper Extraordinaire. Now, let's welcome Tony and Kevin. This is Fix It and Flip It.
So we got a lot of news today.
News.
Oh, my God.
Well, there's a hurricane bearing down on the
That's-
East Coast. Is that the news?
140-mile-an-hour winds, gusts to 160. I mean, that's some huge, huge stuff. Now, imagine owning some investment properties over
We're
there.
getting feedback
You getting feedback? Were you getting feedback?
on your phone.
Oh, okay. People are wanting to say hi and stuff like that, so it's like I'll have to turn my volume all the way down. So, Vinny, if you're out there talking, or I can't talk. So, anyways, sorry. Now the technical difficulties are over. Yeah, the hurricane is really bad. I've got some friends out there that have some investment properties, like vacation rentals and stuff like that. They don't even live near there. And one of them said, "Yeah, well, we've been hit 12 times with 130-mile-an-hour winds and blah blah blah." And I'm like, man, you got some really big cojones to.
I've talked about it a few times with friends and people, and about how we're fairly lucky for not having a whole lot of natural disaster and inclement weather.
Well, we did have an earthquake here this summer.
Yeah, I know,
which
yeah.
we didn't. I thought it was a truck going by the house.
Yeah, I
I'm
was gonna say I felt bigger shakes from being at a Tigers game or something in the stands. I mean,
yeah, but I mean that was. I mean, you start talking about stuff like that.
Speaking
and
of
it's like,
Tigers, I went to the Lions game on Monday
oh
night.
yeah, who was there, Kevin?
I know. We need to touch on that.
Yeah,
Yeah, I saw Gary Vaynerchuk.
the new owner of the Jets.
He's not the new owner of the Jets.
Soon, I'm thinking
Did
positive.
you hear his plan? I thought it odd that he put his plan all the way out there on social media of how he was going to buy the Jets and become a billionaire.
Well, I think, and I'll give it. It's almost like a projection board or a what do you call those boards? A dream board.
Yeah.
Years ago,
What do you call that?
a dream board.
Circles and then lines and then.
Oh, you're thinking like
Brainstorming board.
yeah, maybe something like that. But I remember years ago when I was working at MetroCell, was one of the first cellular phone companies out here. We were just going crazy, and one of the things was, momentum, keeping salespeople motivated. I was always motivated, so I never really had to do it, but I followed through and I did that stuff, and I put a dream board together. It was funny because on my dream board was a picture of a house that I wanted to build. Son of a gun.
How old were you at this time?
1985. This is 24.
Okay. I mean, just so people have reference.
Yeah.
Because just not to interrupt, we'll jump right back to you, but I was watching some of Gary V's videos this morning, and one thing he said, he had that, Ask Gary V show now, and somebody called in and said, I just got out of college. I want to do this, this, and this. I have huge dreams and huge goals, and I feel like it's just not happening fast enough. And he said, be blanking patient,
The whole
Be patient.
People don't get it. If you're not friggin' patient,
It's not
it
gonna
doesn't happen overnight.
Hit the lotto if
Yes.
you want to do it that way.
And
Otherwise,
then it'll go quick, too.
Yeah, well, easy come, easy go. But you better be patient. I don't care if you're building a business, investing in real estate. If you're not patient, think it's going to happen within a week, and all of a sudden you're going to be a millionaire. It's just go do something else and get a 9 to 5.
Right.
But back to your story. You're 24. You see
So
a
I'm
house.
24 years old, and I saw an idea of a house I had. I took that picture and I put it on my dream board. Then I saw a boat, saw a 33-foot fountain. And at that time, we didn't know what they were. We called it a fontaine. It was just, man, it was so sexy. It had this beak on the front. I took a picture of that and put it on the board. Literally 2 years later, I met a guy with one. I had a buddy of mine, and I had a boat in 1986. It was a 26-foot Nova, a Wellcraft Nova, and it was a cool boat. But we went down to Sinbad's, and here was a brand new fountain parked on the side wall. And the guy who owned its name was Mike Fox. He owned Fox Jeep Eagle, Fox Chevrolet up on Rochester Road.
Rochester.
Yep. Yeah, he got killed recently, several years back. In a motorcycle accident. He was racing Ducatis, but nice guy. Anyways, I saw that boat, and he's like, you want to sit inside of it? And I'm like, no. I was like, dude, first I got this picture on the wall that's been up on my wall now for 8-9 months. And then all of a sudden I see the only one on the lake. It was the only boat here. And then not only was the only boat here, he invites me on the boat. So I went and saw him again. I took a ride on the boat. I was just blown away. And literally a year later, I bought that boat. It was like a dream come true. And then that was 1980.
Let's speed the story up, though. The point is, you had the plan.
I had the plan. I bought the boat. I mean,
You had the dream board.
I had the dream board.
You knew it wasn't going to happen overnight. And the next week, you didn't go and, try to loan money and this and that to buy the boat. You had a plan in place.
I had a plan in place to do whatever needed to be done to get that boat. And then the same thing happened with the house. I had a picture of the house that I liked and I wanted, and it was on my dream board. And then eventually, I didn't want the picture of the dream board. And then I had an artist rendering of the house done.
What's the next step? It's the next progression.
Right.
And
Then
mentally, emotionally, it feels like you're making progress towards that goal.
Yeah. So then the next step, I bought a house on the lake. Okay. I bought this little ranch house on the lake that I still live at that location. But I took that house, I picked it up, I moved it, long story short, and then I ended up using the money
Long story long.
Yeah, long story long. Well, no, but I mean,
Jessica, I got to laugh at her.
But listen, here you are. Here you are. You know what? Here you are, just a normal person, and you're on the lake.
But how many years? What you just said in 60 seconds.
From 1985 till I bought the house in 1987, the little ranch house.
But the progression.
1999. By the time I built that house,
we're talking
correct.
a 15-year span.
Yeah, and I had
and
that
that's what
picture.
people need to understand, especially if they want to get into investing in real estate. It's the same thing. It starts slow.
Yeah,
you pick up momentum, you learn. It's like putting yourself through a master's or a PhD course. And back to the Gary Vee thing. So I see Gary Vee at the Lions game, and his goal. Now the guy's already a multimillionaire, probably worth what? Probably a couple $100 million at this point.
Several $100 million. Now, remind you, this is only going back about 15 years, maybe 1996, so 21 years. He was a young.
He's in his early 40s now, right?
Yes, he was a young immigrant. Okay, I think he came to this country at 13 years old, and one of the big reasons he wants to buy the Jets is because that's how he learned to speak English, listening to the announcers. That was his entryway.
Made him feel part of the country.
Without
American,
question. And it's funny, he talks, and he doesn't even talk with an accent.
No.
And I mean, he's Ukrainian, Russian.
Serbian? No.
No, Ukrainian, Russian. Yeah, he's Russian.
Oh.
Yeah.
Vaynerchuk.
So, I mean, but his whole theory is the same thing that we preach every day. Longevity, relationships, and
plan.
Build it slow.
Patience, plan.
You build it slow, it cures, it becomes stronger, the foundation.
I mean,
is
he
better.
probably knows his plan. So the guy's a multimillionaire, like we said, I don't know, his net worth's probably around a couple $100 million at this point. But he has now a bigger plan to become a billionaire.
He will.
And buy the New York Jets, and he will. So, but it might be 20 years from now that we see him as the owner of the New York Jets.
Correct, but he will.
But a guy like that who you just know he's not gonna. He knows no quit. Like he's gonna find a way to do it.
Or he was the guy that didn't buy the fancy watches when his buddy did. He didn't buy the fancy cars when his buddy did. He buckled down, and he kept doubling down on himself.
Yeah.
And basically, it's the same as your story. I mean, it really is.
Yeah.
You started out with a little lawnmower.
Yeah.
I mean, a lawnmower. That's how you started.
I was knocking on doors, printing up flyers at the little Epson.
So here you are starting with a lawnmower, and you build up a clientele of how many people? 150?
120, 130.
130 people over how long a period of time?
3 years.
3 years.
Yeah.
So it didn't happen overnight.
No.
But then you started making money.
Yeah.
And then you weren't even
saving
money. But then you weren't even cutting grass yourself.
Nope.
People cut grass for you.
Yeah.
Sounds like a story of another entrepreneur, Marcus Lemonis, the prophet.
Yeah.
He was 10 years old, and he had a lawn service, and he hired 15-year-olds for his lawn service, and he was 10 years old.
Yeah.
So it's kind of the same thing. You just start parlay, and you've parlayed into a nice little fortune.
Yeah. But it's by, I mean, really the biggest thing that anybody that's listening and that's going to get in the investment game is to take that capital and continue to reinvest it. Like if I would have flipped my first couple houses and took that money and
bought a fancy car,
and bought the fancy car and bought the Rolex or watch for $20,000 and then went out and was starting to eat $300 dinners, like I couldn't have went and bought 4 more rental properties. I wouldn't have 26 rental properties now.
Right.
Every single dollar was just now is starting to multiply. Every time I get the rent checks come in, it goes to either buy another rental now, or it goes to buy supplies or materials or labor for
Flip.
for one of the flips. I don't even see it now. Now it's just trading. Now it's just changing numbers.
Well, kind of you understand the way people ask me, oh, it's a big commission check. What are you going to do with it? We don't do anything with it. It's just
Barely even see it. I've seen 10 of them sitting on your desk.
Yeah, we don't do anything
Big
with
numbers. You're like, well, it's going to go and pay down my mortgage on my building. So that way I have a $1 million building paid off in a couple years.
That's basically it. And people need to look at that.
The problem is I don't know where society has gone that everybody, especially the younger generation, I think it's like everybody, probably like 90% of people, feels like it's not okay to save money. Like you should not save or invest.
Understand this.
Like if you get $100, you got to find a way to spend that $100 in the next 3 days.
Yeah. Well, there's a.
What's wrong with putting 80 of it in the bank?
There's a couple car dealers that I'm not going to mention names.
Yeah, don't mention names. Don't get us.
No. But this is their thought process. I'm not going to hire any young newbie. I want to hire a married guy who owns a house or doesn't own one, but I'm going to get him to buy one. I'm going to get him to buy a boat. And I'm going to get him in debt up to his butt.
To where he has to work his
ass off. So where he has to work his butt off.
He cannot leave. He can't leave.
I can treat him the way I want. I can push him. I can push him. I can kill the guy. He doesn't have a choice. He's got to stay. He's buried in debt, and he's in hock up to his yin-yang. And you want me to try to be clean.
I kind of know a guy like that you know, but we won't say his name. But I kind of.
You understand.
You're right.
Yeah. And
I've never thought of that. And I've never thought of that from a psychological hiring point of view. Of them doing that.
I just spoke to one of his salesmen the other day, and he said he won't hire the young kid who's aggressive where he comes from money because they don't care.
Well, and they're going to want more, and they're going to leave and go do something else.
Absolutely.
Maybe buy their own lot.
I have personal experience on people that have come to work for me that have already had money, whether it's trust fund babies, silver spoon, mom's got cash, dad's got cash, and they don't work hard. They don't care. They don't need it. And if they don't need it, they're not the people that we need. And then if you do find the one with the entrepreneurial spirit, they go on their own and they go to be your competition. But competition breeds success. There's so much work out there. We've spoke about this before. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
There's enough work out there. There's enough flips out there. The competition just helps you hone your skills and become better at what you do.
Yeah. And back again, we'll just wrap up the whole Gary Vee thing is, what I was kind of getting at is the guy's just not complacent. So it's having a plan, it's saving, but it's also not being complacent, you know. Gary Vee could sit there and not work another day in his life. He could invest his money, right?
Yeah.
But this guy is going to work 15-hour days.
But why are there are people out there that are going to say he's greedy?
No.
It's got nothing to do with greed.
It's the challenge.
Yeah.
It's the challenge. He set a goal so high now that it's going to take him the rest of his life to
attain it,
and accumulate the net worth to be able to do that.
I hope he does not go to his grave not getting. You know what I mean?
Well, you hope he goes to his grave. No, you
don't want him to go to his
period. You don't want him to go to his grave. I don't want anybody to go to their grave. But let's face it, it goes for anybody out there not being happy or satisfied with what they've done in their lifetime, right? I mean, we could do a whole nother show on that. It's probably getting a little deep, but
we should.
It's that trade-off of being successful, working, obtaining goals. I tell everybody it's not. It sounds cliche. It's honestly not about the money. Like you say the same thing.
It's not.
It's honestly not. Like there's a point where enough.
It was about the money in the beginning.
You know? Well, it has to be because, like they say, if the top guy's not okay, nobody else is okay.
That's correct.
If the head of the family's okay, the rest of the family's not okay. Unfortunately, this country is based on money, and to buy groceries and pay for housing and buy shelter and whatever, you need money.
Who's the guy that said money doesn't buy happiness? They're shopping at the wrong store.
Yeah,
it
helps.
Money is not the root of all evil. Lack of money is the root of all evil. Okay, my other theory is money is an amplifier. If you're bad, money will make you worse. If you're good, money can make you better. You can donate more. You can help more people. Yeah. You can teach more people. I mean, it's all about the legacy you leave. We're only here for, not that long.
Oh, super short period of time in the grand scheme of things. It's crazy how short we're here.
It's scary. And what else is going on today? 12 o'clock. No, is it 1 o'clock today?
What's that?
The new Apple announcement. We're talking about not spending money.
Yeah.
And
What's
and
coming out? I'm not an Apple guy. So.
New iPhones, new Apple Watches, new iPads, new MacBook Pros. So Apple's making their big announcement. They do this every year. So everybody looks forward to it. So we're looking. I'm looking for a possible Apple Watch. Everyone that I'm talking to that has one seems to find a great use for it. I'm not really a watch guy. I have a Rolex at home. I don't wear it.
Yeah.
Only when I go out. And it's like it was a gift years ago when I sold my businesses, and I bought it for myself as like a somewhat retirement present, even though I knew I wasn't retiring. But I always wanted a Rolex. I finally bought one.
Well,
and now it sits on a shelf.
Put your time in, you saved, and you're able to do it. I mean, there's a difference.
So, hi, Ian Mason. I know you're watching.
Ian wanted to call in. What is the number? What's the call-in number?
Oh, let me see here. What's the call-in number?
248
579
5295.
5295.
Yeah, Ian, call in.
We're gonna get Ian to call in, man. This guy's, hustler, kind of like us.
Oh yeah,
realtor,
young,
master
How
marketer.
Old is Ian?
No, he looks young, but he's 38.
38 years, so he's your age.
Yeah, well, I'm
a little younger. You're a little younger, but yeah, so kind of the same.
Was in the game for a while, got out and came back in, had the knowledge, had the marketing skills.
Sometimes it a little too young. When you start out too young, it doesn't work because people look at you in a whole different realm, like you're not knowledgeable. Maybe like
this market's tough for newbies to enter the market. Do we got a call in here?
Yep.
We got somebody on the line here.
No.
Who's there?
The podcast?
Yeah, we're having a hard time hearing you. Speak up.
Oh, there you are. Well, I got a strange feeling this isn't going to go well with the computer and everything.
Yeah, we got Ian Mason.
I can't hear Tony anymore.
Hi, Ian. That's
there.
because
Can you
you're
hear him?
talking. I don't want to blow you out the door, buddy.
Oh, we got realtor Ian Mason on the phone. What are you up to today, Ian?
Well, I've spent the last 7 or 8 minutes listening to you guys. It's been motivational.
Yeah, well, we hope so. I mean, that's the point of it. I know me and you, just like me and Tony, have lunch all the time and talk business and life and goals. I know me and you sit and have lunch and breakfast all the time and chat about that. And it's always good to sit around and talk business and try to motivate, people, especially the younger generation.
You don't have to try to motivate us. We're motivated all the time.
No, I mean, that's the thing. It's like they say, what is it? Surround yourself with 4 successful people, you'll be the 5th.
Yeah.
Surround yourself with 4 unsuccessful people, you'll be the 5th.
Yeah.
I'll find myself sitting around a table with, guys like Ian and a couple of his buddies, or you and Louis Bricolis, and, we're not talking about, like, the newest movie that came, like, mundane, just, like, stupid stuff.
We're just talking about theories and ideas and how to
ideas, maybe business, what we can buy.
Right.
But what do you got going on today, Ian? You had an inspection. You got a couple deals going on, trying to clear some stuff up before you head out of town, eh?
Yeah, heading out tomorrow morning. It's 67 letters out this morning, trying to buy a unique house down on the water. And what else? Getting packed, running around like an idiot, dropping off this and that. 2 inspections coming up, drain cameras. Sign a purchase agreement tonight at 7, and hopefully get a good night's rest.
Right on.
You going on vacation, buddy?
Leaving for Miami tomorrow morning.
My man, you're going to buy some.
Been there a time or two.
You're going to buy some properties down there?
No. Listen to what Ian's doing, because I'm good friends with him. Ian, what are you doing in the next 3 days?
Flight lands in Miami Beach. Taking Uber over to a new 57 Sunseeker Portofino, and take it oceanside from Fort Lauderdale to Miami Beach Marina, and spend 4 days messing around learning how to drive it on Biscayne Bay. So
we won't say his name, but you're Tony just ding the bell.
Ding.
We won't say his name, but you're going down with a buddy who just bought it, right, and helping him kind of get it situated and over to the bay, and so.
Yeah, this trip I'm gonna do my best to make sure I'm just dead weight. Might throw a line or 2 here and there, but
for sure.
I don't think
Ian,
I don't think it would be much help.
Ian works with, obviously, the owner, occupant, the buyer, the seller. But, Ian, you do quite a bit of business with investors as well, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we have a few deals going on, but, I mean, I'm not your only, just like I'm not Tony's only investor that he works with. You've got a handful of investors that you diversify with yourself. What challenges do you find working with investors? Or the pros and the cons?
The biggest tricks with the investors relates to the story of the 6 Ps. Prior planning prevents piss poor performance.
Ooh, wow. That's a good one. I like that one.
Wow, write that down.
Prior planning.
Prior
I'm
planning.
writing that
prior
down right
planning
now.
prevents piss poor performance.
Prior planning prevents.
So go ahead.
So, whether it's not having contractors in line, I mean, kind of like you guys were talking about earlier. I mean, it takes a lot of perseverance and time to get through this stuff. If it's important to you to be protected with LLCs, we'll file them, get them ready. If it's important to have, hide behind, the LLC and not be found, and get the money in an account, get it ready to go. Know the neighborhood, drive the street, start understanding what sells.
You
and
make
what
that.
it can sell
You make
for.
that sound. You make that sound a little like almost standoffish. Not to be found. It's not the point of not to be found, but it's to be protected.
Protect yourself.
or to,
do
pre-
the
to
next-
protect
put the
your
necessary-
assets.
I think he's saying put the necessary steps in place. I mean, if you know you're supposed to do A, B, and C,
do it.
do it.
Mm-hmm.
Don't wait till it's too late.
Well, I disagree with you. I mean, I've stood on plenty of lawns with Kevin, and it's fine to shake the hand, make friends with the neighbors and all that good stuff. But, I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, you don't want somebody showing up at your front door for whatever reason. I mean, you should be hidden. Like, you don't have to hide when you're at the house, but, I mean, you shouldn't have your cell phone number on the LLC docs at the state for a guy like me to sift you out and run you, come find you.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. To me, I mean, I think your LLC should be filed with a resident agent. It should have a business address. I mean, when you go to submit an offer, I mean, you don't want Kevin McClellan and $500 million, to be seen by the person looking at.
Wow, if you find that guy, let me know.
What's that?
I said, if you find that Kevin McClellan with $500 million, let me know.
He was inheriting
No,
Gary
I-
V's money.
Yeah. Now,
I think
probably one of the most frustrating things, Ian, is I know you've dealt with it, and Tony has as well, working with some investors, which just boggles my mind, is having to sell a house 3 or 4 times before it actually sells. Maybe you could explain what I mean by that, having to sell it 3 or 4 times.
Oh, there are so many reasons for that, but generally quality of repairs. The idea that, man, I don't even know where to start with that. Just, you need to more or less have a home inspection before you list it. If you can't do it yourself, you need to be honest with a third party and have a third party look at it and listen to their opinion and look at it.
I agree with you 100%. I agree with you 100% on that. I think most investors, if they don't have a crew and guys in place, should actually, and I think some home inspection companies should start doing like an hour cursory inspection for the investor type that does multiple properties a year, that they send them in before the house hits the market and try to find those 4 or 5 things that could possibly kill a sale. I do it on my own. I have my in-house guys. So I tell my guy, Mike and Ryan, I'll send them in, and I'll tell them the house is going on the market tomorrow. I want you to spend 2 hours at the house tomorrow and do a home inspection. Check for drips, check for leaks, check for gas leaks, check the appliances, the dishwasher draining, everything.
It's just a punch list is all it is.
It's a punch
That's
list.
all it really is.
These guys will do it for you. Whether it's, I mean, I don't, I guess I hate to drop any name without
Go ahead,
dropping another.
Oh, drop a name.
I
Go
mean,
ahead.
Bill Tuttle Home Team Inspections in Grosse Pointe. I've been using the guy, since day one, and he does that. He'll come in and do a preemptive inspection before you list and let you know what they're going to find.
Oh, that's a great idea. Yeah.
Kevin
Stripling.
Ian uses Kevin.
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, we've had
Yeah.
Kevin on the show. It
Yeah.
was a great show because we'd like to bring
Awesome
Kevin back on
guy.
because the information that he has is just phenomenal over the course of the last 20 years, and I've been using him for the last 20 years. I mean, he's just out of this world.
Yeah, no, Kevin does an outstanding job. It's a great outfit. Right down to the receptionist there. It's been a great resource. I mean, I try to apologize to Kevin when I talk to him or see him. It's just, Bill's almost nostalgic. I've used him since day one. The guy's almost retired, and Kevin's on deck, so.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, there's no issue with having 2 or 3 guys in the Rolodex to call because not everybody's going to be available all the time, right?
Well, you need that too. I mean, there's a lot of these situations. I mean, you talk about investor purchases. Another thing these guys need to do is they need to be fast, especially today. And, in regard to the home inspectors and things like that, I mean, it's important to have a line of them because, sometimes they're booked 3, 4, 5 days out. But
If they're any good, absolutely.
But doesn't that make your job and Tony's job so much easier when the major things are done and the investor says my house is ready to put on the market?
Well, I mean, the few times I've had the opportunity to sell one of your homes is absolute pleasure, because never, I've said it a bunch of times. I mean, it's no nonsense. I've never dealt with nicer homes, and they're a pleasure to work with and sell because there are no issues. Certainly dealt with a number of other ones. I mean, I kind of do this for people on my own as a preemptive home inspection. I mean, I don't bring a ladder and look at the chimney, but, I take a hard look at it, educate a guest. Went to a homeowner's house in Harper Woods yesterday, need to sell it in a flash. And, you got banister missing, you've got, weeds coming up through the deck, you've got the C of O issues that were never addressed. And it's like this woman can call somebody and I'm sure they'll put it right on the market. That she's going to base her new purchase on the sale of her home, and there's no way that's going to pass inspection. Not the first time, not the second, not the third.
It's going to be a headache.
I do the same thing.
Yeah, I was going to say that as much as you and Ian might be different in some regards, because I know you both very well. You guys are both like two of my best friends, but you guys are very, very similar in that respect, that you'll give them the information. Maybe it'll be delivered in a little different way between you two, but you will both be very honest and let them know that this, and this has to be done. Like, I'm not going to waste my time, like we just said, and have to sell the house 4 times because it fails inspection 3 times.
Well, I don't know about like the other realtors that could be listening in here, but I think Ian and I probably work the same as this. I was always taught there was different ways to do listing appointments, and when I was originally taught how to sell homes or how to go on a listing appointment, you bring all the paperwork with you, and sign here, and it's like, dude, you know what? I'm here for an interview, and it's not for you, the buyer, the seller, to interview me. It's for me to interview him, and for me to take a look at the property, because I go by like a 2 to 3 step listing appointment. I go there the first time, meet them, see if we can even interact together, because they may be stubborn, I may be too loud or too obnoxious or too direct. One thing about me, I'm very direct. I think Ian's the same way.
Yeah.
We're just direct. We say it the way it is. If we don't get your listing, it's okay.
Yeah.
We don't need your listing. We want your listing. We want to be able to work your listing.
Sure.
But then we go through and say, look, what do you want? Do you want to get it gone without doing anything, like somebody like you comes to the table? Or do you need to do a few repairs to get that top dollar out of it? Let's retail it out of here.
Yeah.
And it's like you said, well, it's missing a banister. There's a light socket that, a junction box that's uncovered. A lot of the stuff is minuscule stuff that could take a handyman maybe a half a day just going through that little punch list that your inspector could give to somebody. Boom, boom, boom. Yesterday we sold our flip the other day, and the inspection went through, and it was basically a Kevin McClellan house.
Yeah.
It was spotless.
Yeah.
And the guy's like, hey, I got 2 problems. We're going to have to renegotiate. I said, what's those problems? He goes, there's 2 junction boxes in the garage that don't have covers on them.
So he was kidding.
He was joking around. Yeah. But he's like, the inspector said, why am I here?
Yeah.
This house
Well, it's
is
a new house.
but that's the whole idea. You do your stuff the same way.
Correct.
And when you do it right, as from an investor, because we're not talking a homeowner right now. We're talking an investor, a guy who buys a flip. Remember when you and I met, and I met you on the expressway, and you said, come and look at my house.
Yeah.
And I said, and I walked through the house, and I said, you need to do this, and this. Your previous agent, who unfortunately worked for me at the time, he didn't say that to you.
Right.
He just took what you said, let me list it, I'll get you this, and had dreams. Me and Ian don't do that.
Right.
We're realistic about where we're
Well,
at.
I mean, there's so many deals that are falling apart lately. Ian, I think we were talking about it the other day about it just seemed the percentage of deals that are falling apart has seemed to been like on the uptick. Or is that just there's probably no facts to go on that. But I mean, are you seeing more fall apart because of like picky home inspectors or sellers refusing to make the necessary repairs?
Well, there's a few places there. I think one, the home inspectors are definitely the technology and stuff that these guys have. They can come up with a much more thorough report that's far more critical than they used to.
That's true.
Right.
Good point.
Drones with heat sensors that show how you lose heat through a poor insulation.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you have even increasing codes and things. I mean, when you think about it, these guys learn all these new codes, and every time they update them, the guys are like, well, they're going to be behind on this, so this doesn't apply. These, But I think more so, I think a lot of it kind of goes back to what Tony was just talking about. The real estate's been such a frenzy. You have a lot of new people into the profession, and certainly welcome them. We all started somewhere. But again, with the technology, these guys are out rifling through, telling every homeowner that, prices are through the roof and it's time to sell and it's time to sell. And they're walking in going, don't worry about it, sign here. Let me throw a sign in the yard, see you later. And so I think those types of things really add to the idea of deals falling apart because, you got a lot of people out there begging for the business right now, and you got a lot of people pushing and shoving to, get the homes listed. So
it's true. And everybody, we got Realtor Ian Mason on the line for Premier Property Services in Grosse Pointe on the show. If you have any comments or questions, go ahead and call in or comment. Me and Tony were just talking earlier about how many houses are sitting on the market. And I think you mentioned that as well, that you drive the streets now and there's 4 or 5 for sale signs within a couple hundred yards.
Oh yeah. The inventory's up. And, I don't want to frighten everybody because I don't think there's any great way to determine it, but I think Tony would agree. Typically the last 2 weeks of August are nearly silent. Everybody's got back to school.
Great time for vacation, but you can't because your kids are in school.
Yeah. Yeah, right. So either way, I end up with I sold a gentleman's home in East Point, and he's moving to St. Clair Shores. So we went out in that last 2 weeks leading up to Labor Day there, and we toured 35 homes.
That's a lot of
all
work.
brick ranches. Oh yeah, yeah, and I'm not afraid of it. I've always been one to route them, and I enjoy seeing the inventory. And I don't know. I think Kevin knows. I don't know about you. I try to stick very tight to a neighborhood. I won't really go that far away. So I enjoy going and seeing the inventory and just kind of boots on the ground. But we saw his criteria: 3-bed brick, basement, garage under 175. Generally, there were when we started, there was a total of 64 options in there. We viewed 35 of them. I had my assistant do offer checks on all of them, which we do for all the showings. 90% of what came back was no, Ian, no offers, which is a 180-degree turn from what we dealt with even a month or two ago.
Yes,
yes. If this was back in June, May or June, those numbers would be completely flip-flopped.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But I think that might be I think that might open up the time where we parlayed into the investor standpoint of like me and you were chatting the other day, Ian, it's kind of the time now for investors to maybe be able to steal some properties because of the high inventory, because of the days on market, because of the time of year and the market slowdown.
Well, it's amazing to think such a gigantic, broad trend might have been visible like that, but many of those homes were obviously the baby boomer vacating types that, we've heard about. So many of them were obviously occupied by seniors and things who left. They were vacant, which is another one that's, a little bit seems, a little bit new. But now watching this same market, I expected or had hoped that the inventory would go down following Labor Day. So I ran the same search criteria for fun and found that it actually increased. So not only did the total inventory in that criteria increase from 64 to 70.
Oh, he might be switching over to his Bluetooth.
The number of properties that were on market for 30 days plus increased from 26 to 35. So again, you watch now as a few days, a week has passed, it's been price reduction. And like I said, many of these are vacant senior. Like, these homes are going to be disposed of, liquidated. So yeah, in the eyes of investment, if you're looking to buy homes, like, now is the time.
Absolutely.
I think shotgun approach is the way to do it.
I still think right now the amateur realtors out there, or what I call amateurs, I apologize.
It might be. There's nothing that's not.
All right.
I'm just saying the people that are inexperienced are going in and letting unbeknownst homeowners to let them know, oh yeah, I'll get you this high number for your house, when that high number was a Kevin McClellan flip number, not,
That's happening a lot.
It's happening a lot, and it, just like our house and just like your house, they're looking at that and they're using that as the template for the neighborhood. And as the template for the neighborhood, it doesn't even come close to being a realistic number. It's more so, mediocre.
You're-
Like yesterday
you're-
we showed a house yesterday,
Absolutely.
and it was a nice looking house from the outside, but the minute you walked in, it was dog.
Yeah.
You know, or what we would say in realtors language, pet friendly.
Yeah.
And
Pets were very welcome in this.
Oh, they were very welcome there, and I think they were still there. Their ghosts were still there. And
Their carcass was somewhere still
listen,
in the
plain
house.
and simple, the house smelled like shit. Okay, it was terrible, and the realtor priced it as a fully renovated. Flip. And I'm like, dude, you're out of your gourd. You didn't move a wall. You didn't update a kitchen. The floor's buckling in the basement. The ceilings are sagging from the moisture in the basement. You know, the basement's been waterproofed, and you can see that it was a poor job that they did, and they're pricing at this high level, and they're well, that's what they got. You have to be realistic.
That is such a like ridiculous blind point of like outlook or thought process that house got that. I'm going to list this house for this. How as a realtor or even a seller can you not look at like the basics of another house and see the upgrades and know that 30 or 40,000 was put in that home? I mean, it's kind of common knowledge.
Well,
you don't need to be an investor to know that.
Many of the you talk to folks, homeowners, and they kind of say the same thing. They're like, homes are selling for X, down the street, or they sold for this, and you really got to bring them back down to earth, and it's okay, let's go take a look at your furnace. Let's go take a look at your hot water tank. How about that roof?
And likewise, even dealing with the investor standpoint, I know both of you probably run into it as my houses are, I really don't save anything now at this point. I mean, every base, molding, trim, outlet, light switch, everything.
Yeah, but you don't do a mediocre flip
but my
anymore.
point
Yours
is
full flips.
Correct. But my point is that I think both of you probably run into the same issue, not only with Sally homeowner trying to sell the home, but the investor that calls you and says, I just renovated a home. I want to ask $200,000 for it. I just redid the whole thing. And you guys show up and see that it's the same nasty carpet. Mm-hmm. The molding's been caulked and painted over 16 times.
The basement's got the shuffleboard table.
Yeah, I mean, they put some new cheap granite in that was a remnant that doesn't even go with the old cabinets that they painted, and they threw some new hardware on. So I mean,
that's not a rehabilitation.
That's not a rehab. No. For the investors out there, if you're going to ask top dollar, make sure you got the budget and can put the money in the house and ask for that top dollar. Otherwise, it's just going to be sitting on the market.
Well, there's a lot of would-be flippers. You're doing this for the long haul, like Gary V does what he does for the long haul.
Yeah,
and it's not. It's like me and Ian. We sell real estate for the long haul.
Yeah.
We're not investors. I mean, we piddle paddle, but we're not investors.
No, you guys do what you do best.
We do what we do best, and we know it.
Niche is rich, broad is broke.
There you go. Pigs get fed, hogs get slaughtered.
Yeah.
All right, Ian, we're going to be wrapping up the show. I know you got to go to a home inspection with one of your buyers, so we appreciate you calling in. Realtor Ian Mason from Premier Property Services, associated with James Buffalino, another good friend of mine in Grosse Pointe.
And Ian,
Woods.
you do have the best signs out there.
Best signs. His big heads all over Grosse Pointe, Harper Woods. I'll see you, Ian.
See you, Ian.
Thanks for letting me hang out on your show. I appreciate it.
We'll have you on. Sit in.
Yeah,
for
we'll
one
have
of
you
us.
in the studio.
I'd love to.
Take care, pal. Bye-bye.
Have a good.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
You know
Great
what?
call. Hear another realtor's point of view. Yet still very similar, obviously, to you guys think a lot alike.
People that do good and are successful have a lot of common qualities.
Yeah.
There are some unconventional people out there.
Sure.
But at the end of the day, Ian and I pretty much do the same thing. We focus on a lot of investment type strategies. We do homeowners. I do all my personal referrals are my own.
Yeah.
But once again, we still go to our basics: the relationship, the longevity, and doing things right, and not being afraid to say what needs to be said. Because, hey, buddy, you didn't do your job right. You didn't do this. We need to get this done. A buyer's going to come in and say, "Wow, I got to put a roof on. That's $8,000." What did it cost you to do the roof, Kev? $3,500.
Correct.
So that $8,000 deduction now may be the value where you wanted to be. I had a lady this morning who was in the office to do a listing appointment, and she says, "Oh, I got a new roof." Okay, so now I'm not going to take away value because you have to have a roof on a house.
Sure.
It doesn't add value to your house. It just doesn't deduct value from what a house would be.
The comp
Correct.
shows. You showed her the comps and then adjust from there.
Right. So those are some important things. I did want to talk about one subject. Do we
I think
have
we got
time
one
for
subject. We got a couple minutes. We'll squeeze it in.
some creative financing?
Creative financing. Yeah.
Now, you and I did this on a house.
Yeah.
You've done this before, but most people don't realize this. How do we go about finding a property? And it's very unique and it doesn't happen all the time, but you find a property
Yeah.
that someone owns free and clear or owes a little bit of money on
Yeah,
it.
either or. Doesn't matter.
They're moving in somewhere else. You could take care of the flip. They still own the house. When you sell it, you make the profit together. You give them a guaranteed number, what you're going to give them for the house.
Yep.
And anything above and beyond that, after your expenses are paid.
There's a percentage
There's-
profit sharing.
Correct.
Essentially. Yeah.
And then you guys share in the profit equally.
Yeah, I mean, it works out great. We've done it a couple times. It's unconventional. You better have paperwork in place
Correct.
to protect yourself or know the person very, very well. There's ways to do that. We can get into that on another show.
And
but
if you'd like to talk to us about it, inbox us and I'll gladly give you a call and tell you how to set it up. But it was a great idea.
Oh, I mean, it's a phenomenal win-win situation for a couple of reasons. Number one, keep the property in the homeowner's name. Number one, that stops the transfer of title.
Correct.
To where you get that 90-day hard stipulation where you can't
From
sell
the
the
lender.
house.
From the lender.
From
No, the
Fannie, Freddie, you can't sell the house on an FHA loan for
Right,
90 days.
they're trying to prevent flipping.
Fraud, flipping, I think
Yeah.
a lot of different things.
Yes.
Almost like an anti-flipping thing, but it's not. But so number one, it gets around that. So now the house has not changed ownership. The guy's owned it for 10, 20 years. Now as an investor, you're way less out of pocket for the principal to purchase that property. Let's say you're guaranteeing them $60,000 or $70,000 for the brick ranch in St. Clair Shores. You don't have to come up with that.
No.
It stays in their name.
Right.
All you have to do, you have your guys in place. You have money for the renovation cost. You renovate the property. You put it on the market. Now it's open to conventional FHA, VA, any type
Everybody.
of mortgage. You sell it, and you work out a number, obviously before, of what you're going to take after all expenses and what they're going to take, and it's a win-win.
Right.
I mean, if you can make $20,000
And have
on a $100,000 investment, or make $20,000 on a $25,000 investment, because all you had to do was come up with the renovation cost.
absolutely.
You know,
So that's another tip for you guys out there that are looking. And I don't care where you're at. I don't care
partner
what
with people, partnership.
partnership.
Be
with-
creative.
Yeah, and you'll find people. Maybe the family of a of someone who passed away,
estate.
a probate case, an estate.
Yeah.
They need to sell the property, but they don't want to give it away. But you're willing to do the repairs and say, look, if you let me do the repairs without buying the house, I'll give you a $10,000 bonus on the value, but you got to wait for the flip to get done.
Yeah.
I've got complete control of the property. We'll have a contract drawn up. It's a real simple contract.
Yeah.
And
I've done it a couple times. It's worked out great.
you and I did it together.
We did it together.
We had literally a $13,000 investment that we each profited $13,000 on. So I mean, we walked away with a
And I think we
200
sold it. We were able to sell it on an FHA mortgage because
FHA mortgage, yeah.
because it didn't change ownership.
And the lady
was happy. She
was
made
so
an extra
happy.
$6,000 to $10,000.
Yeah, no, she made an extra $10,000.
$10 grand. I mean, that's
Yep.
huge. To wait, what'd she wait? An extra 60 days?
60 days.
For
And
10
we
more,
didn't have that
for
del-
10
we
more
di-
grand?
and we did not have the delay
Yeah.
of the FHA and conventional financing that said no, you can't do it because you're flipping it.
Yeah, that's just one of the little tricks. We'll get into more of them and how to be creative in future shows, but I think we'll wrap it up.
Yes.
You know, if you got a home you want to buy, sell, invest, Tony works, with more investors than just me, so give him a call at
586-773-4400 or our website, www.talktotony.com. And Kevin, if somebody needs to sell a house quickly, they don't want to deal with buyers walking through it, they can get a nice fresh cash offer, close in 7 days, they'll be in and out. How do we get a hold of you?
Yeah, give me a call, 586-855-4041, or go to my Facebook page, Cash, the number 4, Your House Now, or my website, www.cash, the number 4, yourhousenow.com. I have the cash available to close your deal in about 5 to 7 days as soon as we get title work done. I'm doing it with a deal right now. Some people got jacked around with the house in East Point by some wannabe wholesaler, tied the house up, told them they had cash to buy it, didn't. They called me. We met with the title lady. We're closing this Friday. They're going to get their money, be done with the property. So if you want a quick sale, it's dilapidated, whatever the circumstances, reach out to me, 586-855-4041.
And please, for everybody who's watching the show or tuning in or catches the show later, look for us in iTunes, Google Play, SoundCloud, Stitcher, and look for us at Fix It and Flip It. And we have our own YouTube channel too, so we're working on that. Subscribe, watch the show, send in your questions so we can help you out. And we'll look forward to having some other people on the show soon here to talk about the renovation
Investing,
process,
real estate.
investing, real estate, and
Everything in between.
And Gary Vaynerchuk.
Gary Vaynerchuk. Ah. We'll mention him one more time. Have a good week, everybody.
Have a good week, everybody. Bye-bye.
You've been listening to Fix It and Flip It with Tony Raffin and Kevin McClellan. Be sure to stop by our Facebook page, like it, and follow. And come back again next week so you can arm yourselves with the tools and strategies to become a successful real estate entrepreneur. This is Fix It and Flip It.